Frank Rock, House of Orange Sports Channel. Tennessee advances to the second round, and they play a familiar foe. Somebody termed it in the post-game conference last night with Rick Barnes, the Nostalgia Tour, as he goes back to his home state. He's from Hickory, which is, around an hour maybe from Charlotte, I guess, give or take, somewhere in there. But now he's playing Texas in the second round. Of course, this all probably doesn't happen. This is not a coincidence that they've paired them together like this, Tennessee and Texas. But it happens. It's going down tomorrow night, 8 o'clock, CBS. It'll go to conclusion about 30 minutes after the conclusion of the North Carolina-Michigan State game, which will be played right before that. But Tennessee with the shot to get, once again, to the Sweet 16. Be back-to-back Sweet 16s for this program. If they do, the bigger goal is, as he said after the South Carolina game, was we want to play on Monday. He's talking about the national championship. So, looking at this game, and Texas coming in as they come off of a, 56-44 win, if I'm not mistaken, on that yesterday. Could be wrong on that score. I'm thinking it was somewhere in that range. But let's see, 56-44. I was right on that. Okay. So that's a pretty low-scoring game. Of course, Colorado State had beat Virginia in abysmal offensive showing. Texas last night, 56-44. So let's look at Texas and what they've got going on here. Their leading scorer, Max Abmas, 17 points per game. Dylan, I'm going to say Disu, 15.7. Tyrese Hunter, 11. Dylan Mitchell, 9.9. That's their four leading scores. Dylan Mitchell, he was recruited heavily by Tennessee a couple years ago, ended up going to Texas. There were points in that recruitment. Thought Tennessee may get him, but he did end up going to Texas during that time. So this is a Texas team on neutral courts this year. They're 3-2. Away from home, they were, all games 4-6 on the year. So looking at Texas statistics on your team statistics, they score about 75.9 per game. In comparison, Tennessee's given up 67.3. Texas gives up about 69.1 per game. Field goals, they shoot 47%, give up right at 43. 3-point percentage, they shoot 35.5. They give up about 34.5. So in turn, Tennessee is allowing opponents 38.6. 3-pointers, 31% is the percent. Tennessee's percentage is 34.5. So they are a little less three-point shooting team than Texas. Free throws, Texas is a little better free throw shooting team at 75.3. Rebounds, Texas averages 34.6 per game. They out-rebound their opponents by 0.8 or 0.8 per game. Tennessee, on the other hand, with rebounds per game, 39.1. So they're averaging about close 4.5 more rebounds per game. That's an advantage that stands out to me tomorrow night. Tennessee averages more assists per game than Texas. Turnovers pretty similar. Steals, blocks, all pretty similar in those regards here as well. But what stands out to me for this game, of course, Tennessee has Dalton Knecht, a National Player of the Year candidate on it. I like where Tennessee, I just like where they are, and I look at their competition. Of course, they beat Colorado State. They'd lost to Kansas State. Texas has been really kind of from about the first of this year, calendar year on, no consistency, maybe a couple wins. I don't see at any point where they've had a streak of over 2 wins since January 6th. They had won 5 in a row coming into the new year. They won on January 1st, lost on January 6th, and then after that they would win one, lose a couple, win a couple, lose a couple. So kind of a streaky team, really not even a streaky team, just consistent. I don't know, I guess more of a roller coaster type team. And it's not a high scoring team. Their kind of outlier they had was against West Virginia on February 10th, where they scored 94 and gave up 58. Other than that, I mean, Texas is pretty consistently, 56 against Colorado State, 74 against Kansas State, 94 against Oklahoma, 85 at Baylor in a loss. They gave up 93 at Baylor. So Baylor, of course, is a 3 seed coming in. What I like about it, and I feel like the kind of quota has been grinded out hard nosed. Well, that's what Rick Barnes talked about with Texas. And of course, I put a quote on there. He said, "These guys probably know me better than anybody," talking about Texas's coach, Rodney. Yep, Rodney. And of course, they have Frank Haith, Chris Ogden, he said, on staff as well. So, it's Rodney Terry. That's it. So I blanked out on the last name. But Barnes is definitely familiar with these guys. They were on staff with him. And, Barnes has a history of hiring very good coaches. We've seen it with the coaches he's hired. I mean, how many has he had go on to be head coaches at other programs? Now, it hasn't worked out for all of them, as Rob Lanier was the latest at SMU. Kind of seemed a little odd. He, in year 1, 10 wins, year 2, 20 wins at NIT, and then they fired him prior to going to ACC. Not really sure. I know some of the reporters, writers who reported it said it was pretty much a joke, but who knows what goes into it. I seen some fans saying, well, they didn't have a problem with it, but who knows. But anyway, Barnes has a history of hiring good coaches. And Rodney Terry, talked about him. He said this was this guy's dream job, to be the Texas head coach. Was a high school coach, came onto Rick Barnes' staff, was with him a long time, worked his way up along the way. I expect a tough game tomorrow night. I expect, but I think Tennessee's better. I think Tennessee's a better team. They're a better scoring team. They're a better defensive team. How are they going to match up? Here's what I want to look at roster-wise with them. So looking at the team pick, here at see. So Disu, again, I hope I'm not saying he's 6'9", 225. That's a pretty good size guy. Should match up pretty well. Hunter is 6 foot. You got Caden Shedrick, 6'11". Just looking at their bigger guys here. Onyema, 6'8", 235. Dylan Mitchell, 6'8", but he's only 205. He's going to be more of a wing guy for them. So this is really not a big team. Tennessee should match up well. I mean, they've got a couple big guys here. Disu is kind of their main one. Max Admas is a guard, 6 foot. So that's going to be your Zakai Ziegler matchup. You may see Meshack going him some as well. But in terms of, it looks to me like in terms of height, these teams will match up pretty well on that. There's some areas Texas may have a bit of advantage in height. They don't over Jonas Adu, but none of their guys are, it doesn't seem to me looking at that Texas has that bruiser type guy. Couple pretty good sized guys on here for sure. But, nothing that worries me in terms of somebody that should be able to outmuscle this team around. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Maybe I'm wrong. I haven't watched Texas to really tell you. I'm going on what I'm looking at with stats. That's what I do pretty much every game because I just don't watch. I've watched more basketball the last 2 days than I've watched all year outside of Tennessee. But Tennessee's advantages, rebounding, that's one. Win the rebounding battle on it. I'll have a keys to victory. I'll drop that in the morning. Talking about keys to victory tomorrow night. But I can go and tell you rebounds one of them. Play Tennessee defense. You play Tennessee defense, you're going to win this ball game. You're going to win it. Tennessee opened as like a 6-point favorite today. I'm going to go on record with my fearless prediction tomorrow night. I'm going to go Tennessee 81, Texas 71. Tennessee marches on back-to-back Sweet 16s, and they look at either Creighton or Oregon, which should be a pretty interesting matchup in itself in that game. But I'm going to wrap this thing up. I'll record a baseball post game tonight. If they, not sure how the weather is going there, but thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you like this thing. Make sure you share. Make sure you subscribe if you like the content. It is free. There is no money involved. There's no monetary issues there. But as always, thanks for tuning in with me, guys. My name's Frank Rock. This is the House Foreign Sports Channel. As always, go Vols.